What's going on? RGIJ is back, baby. So I was reading, man, and these, again, you know, I like seeing advancements in technology and medicine and everything else. You know, we shared stories about things like that. And I was reading that they had this man who had who needed a heart transplant. And I guess he was in dire conditions, like it was, his life was going to become sort of extinct in a few weeks or whatever it was. And they swapped out his heart with a pig heart. But what they did was they replaced the pig genes with some human genes, and the heart actually worked. However, later on down the road, the man, basically the body began to reject it and everything else. And of course, unfortunately, the man passed away. But I guess he lived for like 2 to 3 months with this pig heart in him, which is amazing to me that, you know, that science and medicine is still constantly moving. It's still trying to make new ways to, you know, to keep the body going and everything else. So if you had 2 to 3 months to live, what would you do?
I'd probably fight a lot of people, I think. I think so.
You do the purge? You start your own purge?
Honestly, I told my wife this several times, man. If I have terminal cancer, like I'm going down within like 6 to 8 weeks, I might legit go back to Japan and probably murder a lot of taxi cabs because I cannot fucking stand taxi cabs.
Wait, you said taxi?
Yeah, taxi cab drivers, man, because they're fucking assholes in Japan. These fucking dudes like drive up on a sidewalk, like they're just rude as fuck. Do whatever I cannot stand that shit. And probably some rude people. I think I probably, if I'm knowing I'm going away in 4 weeks or, you know, in 6 months or 2 months, I think you might see a different side of me. I think I might just say how I really feel about a lot of things, and people might find out how I really feel, and just tell people like, hey, you know what? You're fucking annoying. Like, you're an asshole, or you know what? Like, you're a loser. It's because of the way you act. Like, and I'm dying, so don't come to my funeral. Like, I'm gonna like uninvite people to like, you're not invited. I don't want you. Because
even if they go to kill you, you're gonna die anyway.
Yeah, it's like if they lock you up, and it's like by the time you're in prison, anyways, you're still getting a couple square meals, and you're out. Like,
you're out. Yeah, you get 3 meals a day, a roof over your head.
It's like you're like, you go talk to the doctor, and he's like, hey, I have to tell you this, but you got 4 weeks to live. I'm like, okay, I'm out, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go kill a couple people. Do not call the cops on me. Like, it's your fault. Like, I was just waiting this one moment in life to hear I had 4 weeks to live, or a month or so. And there's taxi cabs. I can't taxi cab drivers and the people who ride scooters in Japan, because those motherfuckers are assholes too. They're annoying. Yeah. Especially, I forgot what they're called, but like in Japan, they rev their bikes a lot. Those motherfuckers, they can get it too. Oh, they go up and down the streets, just blaring their bikes back and forth, doing like dumb shit. There's about 3 people. I'd probably do mass killings of those people. It wouldn't be personal. It'd just be like, I can't stand them. And I've been waiting since my early 20s to be like, I'm waiting. If this one thing ever happens, instead of being sad, I'm just going to kill a whole bunch of people I can't stand, like annoying people. But I'm not here in America. I'm not going to become a terrorist or anything like that. I'm just quietly fly somewhere else.
Would you have a list of those that you've always wanted to do something against?
Nah, not like
I would have people that I like sort of have I detest. Just take them out to the back and just whoop their ass.
Why would you take them out
beat
back?
Them down because,
Why would you take them out back? Like, it sounds like so old school. Like you go up to them.
Just beat them up wherever they're at, man. Just because I know I can now. Fuck it. Like you said, if the police come, I'd be like, okay. Nah. And I'll go into the porno world. I'll become a porn star.
What? Okay,
for 2 to 3 months.
so like honestly, I would never do any of that shit. I wouldn't kill nobody. Like that's like this ain't been a thing. But what the fuck do you mean you would be in porn? Like you're just waiting for that one moment. That's all you're waiting for. I don't understand.
I just have my 15 minutes of fame there.
Why don't you just do it now?
I can't do it now because
Why?
if I want to get a government job, that's not going to look good.
How do you know?
Resume. Because there was one Marine chick who basically got not fired, but sort of like let go, whatever the case be. Like they didn't even want to look at her resume or nothing because she was doing Playboy, like she was taking nude pics and everything else, and they saw that.
But that's a girl though. But if there's a guy, you're kind of that guy in the backseat. You don't even know who you are. I mean, unless you were to be that dumb and call yourself the Don Izzy, which I'm pretty sure you would be. So that's the only way they would know who you are. Like in porn, like no one cares who the guy is. It's just
yeah. But when they do a background check, they'll find all your stuff.
We've done background checks, man. Like, okay, like we've all been part of background checks for clearances and stuff like that. There's a part of the government where I've been in a background check and they were asking me questions about someone else, and they're like, "Hey, do you know this person?" No. I was like, "Okay." "Do you work with him?" "Yeah." "Do you think he would be trustworthy?" "I don't know." "Okay, hey, thank you, man. Have a good day." Motherfucker has a top secret. You're like, the fuck you investigate this guy? Like,
yeah,
I don't know Johnny. He doesn't know me. And then they're like, all right, he's good. Like, they did a whole bunch of us one day. They're like, all right, you. Hey, what do y'all think about each other? Like, oh, you know, like, where he works here, where he's cool. Do you know him at home? Like, no. Okay, cool. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And so
it's funny because even with those, like, even when you were filling it out, you will only put certain people, certain people that knew they would talk good about you, because there were others that, like, for example, if I would have put you and they would have said, "Yo, what do you think about Israel?" And I know you would be like, "Yo, that motherfucker." No, don't trust them. Don't trust them.
You know what's funny about
but you had your people. Yeah. You had your people that you would put on there.
It's like now, like if someone's like, "Hey, I'm doing a clearance," you're like, "Okay, only veterans." I know, because we know exactly. Like, "Hey, I'm doing an investigation on Izzy. Great guy, man. Like, yeah, there's one time they were kidding. He was a nice guy," and just leave it like so vague. And they're like, "Okay, have you ever witnessed it?" "Nope." He loves America. You know, he, like, when Superman does his thing, he has the American flag. He's pro-American. And so it's like those, right? Like, we have that, like, you know, if you were to tell me, like, you wouldn't even have to tell me. Someone's like, "Hey, I'm such and such, and I'm investigating Izzy for a top secret clearance." Like, great guy, honest guy. I'd give him $1 million right now if I could. So trustworthy, right? But again, there's people, you're looking at names and you're like, "I'm not putting that motherfucker down." Nope. This guy doesn't know shit. He is too stupid. He would talk to anybody about everything. So it almost becomes, inadvertently, you keep it within the military, because everyone knows the thing. Again, they'll come in there like, "What do you know this guy?" Like, this guy has literally done the dumbest shit in the world. He's a drunk. Yeah. He's funny as shit. We would have got a DUI if we didn't get, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's all these stories we have. Yeah. But when the investigator's like, "What's up?" You're like, "He's a great guy. He's very American, and he's a worker. He's a very hard worker. We'll just lead after work. We'll leave that. You know, have y'all done, you know," especially when they start asking, "Have you done any of these things?" You're just like, "No." Yeah. No.
So I gotta share two things with you right now. So going back to the porno, right? I know you said that my porn name would probably be Don Izzy, but when I was stationed at Travis, me and some friends, we came up with porn names. Don Izzy wasn't known till way later on in the many years from that. So we're in a dorm room, chilling in my buddy's room and whatnot, and we're hanging out. So I had a friend whose name was CJ. There was me, Israel, and then I had some others. So for some reason, I don't know why it came out, because remember, this is the days where porn was still on DVDs. We didn't really know how the internet to look at it and stuff like that. Napster, we were still using Napster for music and everything. So as we're talking, I don't know who brought it up, but the subject came up of what will be your porn name. And we looked at my friend CJ and we were like, "Oh man, a good name for you would be Cock Johnson. That would be a good porn name for you." So he looks at me, he goes, "A good porn name for you would be Israel Big." So that would have been your porn name, was just your name, put Big next to it, and it would be Israel Big. Okay. And that would be your porn. So that would have been my porn name in the porn world, would have been Israel Big.
So you're telling me just a group of y'all were having a conversation and somehow like, "What is your porn name?" And some guy was like, "Hey, you're going to be Big."
No, he said you're gonna be Israel Big.
No, but what I'm saying is,
my name.
What did y'all do to each other to make sure y'all had nicknames for each other? I feel like y'all did something else.
This was like 19. This was 19 years old. We were just in the dorm drinking. A group of close friends and everything were just hanging out, and it just happened to come up. I wouldn't need to bring my boy on the show.
Yeah, because
I would love for him to share his story, because he has a great story. He's the friend that I told you with the sobriety, that he hit rock bottom, came from it, and everything else.
All right, that's a great story and all, but don't get away from this one. What did y'all like? No, that's a weird conversation. What?
I know. Oh, who doesn't have weird conversations?
Not that far, man. There's some weird. That's a weird conversation, man. To start having like, "What's your porn name?" Hey, like I'm all for helping people out and promoting them and doing that stuff. But if someone was like, "Dude, what's my porn name?" I'd be like, "Dude, we're not having this conversation. We're not going to have this conversation."
Didn't you share with me a story that was something weird too? Like the guy slept with his mom's bed or something?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. But again, you're trying to like get away from the thing. Why were you a group of y'all in a room? And that's like,
just, what you shared that story
No,
too.
no, again, but why are you trying to change the subject though?
Again,
This is
it
weird.
was just hanging out. It was just us hanging out. We were just talking about porn.
Have y'all taken showers together?
Never.
You sure?
They don't have community showers in the dorms. All the
just,
showers are
I feel like it's a
isolated.
weird group of people because you only mentioned one other person, so I feel like it was just y'all two. And y'all
No, it was me, him, another friend. We have females there, and everything
lies.
else. The females
now
got
you mentioned
porn names.
females.
The females have porn names as well that we gave them, but it was just a small clique of friends that we just would ramble about shit like that.
Just
when I bring my boy on, he will tell you the story, man. And he would laugh about it.
It doesn't sound good right now.
So the second thing was
no, hold on. Before you do that, hold on. Why didn't you mention there was girls there? Do you understand how weird that sounds? Like, hey, I'm with a group of guys, and we're talking about our names.
No, I said I was with a group of friends.
Right, but again, if you would have said
and
that,
I said one of them was named CJ,
right,
and then there was others. Yeah. And I said
you could have said there was, and there was females
began.
too, because you understand. It sounds like you're saying you and a group of guys were together in a room. Bored as can be.
No, I didn't say it, but that's where you're wrong. I said a group of friends. Did you ask me if girls were there?
Why wouldn't you say that?
Should I have to mention? Remember,
100%.
Females could be friends too.
Yeah, they can. But what
females
I'm saying,
could be friends
that's
too.
a weird conversation to have with two guys. 3 guys is super weird. 4 guys is like, what are y'all doing to each other? You have to mention there was a girl there.
It wasn't just a room full of guys. It was a group of friends. If you would have said were there females, I would have been like, yes. Did I had to elaborate that?
100%. I'm pretty sure everybody listening was like, it got a little iffy right there. It got like a little like, did you kind of experiment both ways in college? That's where I felt like this conversation was going.
I never went to school. Now.
I felt like this was about to be your like, when I was in college, I experimented a little bit. That's where I felt like this conversation was going. I just want to make sure.
No, it was coming because of the porn names. You said yours would have been Don Izzy, and it wasn't. It was Israel Big.
Yeah,
That's what was knighted to me. From my female
with his dick on your shoulder,
friend.
just like I'm dicking you this. Like that's what it sounds like right now. That's sad.
So the other thing was with the security clearance background, when I had my incident in Vegas with the whole DUI and everything else, and now in Oklahoma, this was back in 2005, 2006, Oklahoma, 2010, 2011, I had to renew my clearance. So I would, you first go online, you do your questionnaire and everything else. And then afterwards, once you submit it, the investigator comes and, interviews you. So one of the questions was the incident in Vegas went away. Like it was brought down to misdemeanor, went away on good behavior and everything else. So it was expunged from my record. Like I was done with it. I didn't have to worry about it anymore. So the investigator comes in and she's looking at my report and everything. And she goes, so what happened in around 2006 in Vegas? You didn't get arrested for anything or something? Any illegal stuff happened or anything? Again, I didn't even think to bring it up because it was done with it. I was already over with. And I was like, no, not that I can think of. No, I think she said, did you ever do anything illegal or anything like that? And I said, no, not that I could think of. And she came out and she fucking unfolded this paper. And in it was my whole situation that happened in Vegas.
The Israel
I was
Big?
like, damn, you still, huh?
The Israel Big? She said, hey, we have word that you were called Israel Big. That's funny.
She was like, she brought out the whole incident from Vegas. I was like, well, she was like, why you didn't put this in the report? And I was like, well, because it was removed from my records. It's no longer attached to me. It was dropped down to misdemeanor. It wasn't a felony. And after a certain amount of months, it got removed from my record because that was court mandated. And they were like, oh, yeah, you still need to put it. But, dude, she had a fucking copy of the whole case and everything that happened and whatnot. And I was like, damn, I didn't fucking know. So ever since that, when I renewed it again, I had to fucking make sure, let me update my shit so I could fucking put it in there. Yeah. But, dude, they do have records of who knows how far back to see if you did something wrong and if you're being honest. Mention that.
I know mine was high school because and before I went to the military, I got like a couple of parking tickets and I got arrested for marijuana. So I put that on my original fucking, my original clearance, right? So every time I had a clearance, they'd be like, so what happened? Like, what do you have parking tickets and arrest marijuana? I was like, yep. And they was like, you just got to keep putting this for the rest of your life. We have to keep asking you what happened. And you keep telling us like that. Because they were like, why didn't you put it? I was like, because that was 15 years ago. Like,
right.
So you only asked for 7 to 10 years, 10 for a top secret or something like that. And I was like, I'm only going to put down that because that was 15 fucking years ago. And, you know, but yeah, I have those. Which was funny when I did one of them one time. They were like, "Hey, so you got divorced?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, cool. Well, I hope you're telling me the truth because we can't have Japan tell us if you got divorced or not, like because you're through your system." And it was always that one, like, why would you let that slip out? I feel like that's a very bad thing to tell me that you can't, you don't have I don't know. So if there's anyone who does know about clearances, then yeah, that would be nice to know. But I mean, it makes sense. Like, they're only U.S. government. You know, you go to another government and be like, hey, we need information on this guy. They're gonna be like, piss off. Like, you know.
But what was the importance of them knowing if you got divorced?
Just to make sure, like, my divorce like ended and it wasn't like abuse or like, hey, you know, like that type of thing. It was just like, you know, because he was like, so y'all just got divorced? Like, yeah. And then he was like, okay.
It wasn't like you beating her up, right? It wasn't a domestic thing.
But like I said, like, I mean, my hat's off to those people who do those type of things because there's so many investigations going on.
Oh,
you know, like it's one of the ones where it's that job where you meet somebody and they're just like, I'm on to the next one, man. It's kind of like they want you to say no, so they don't have to do no more digging. So you just close out that file and go to the other one because they're you know,
right, dude. And I mean, they sit there, write everything down. You know what I'm saying? They're writing because, you know, command posts, you're not allowed electronics. So if I was to be like, hey, you could meet me in my, you know, the office in the training room and everything, they couldn't bring this up. So, dude, he literally was transcribing everything and will put date. Do you remember the fucking time? You know, who else was there? Who can you refer me to? Like, it's a tedious process, man. And especially if you're giving like multiple names, they have to make contact. Contact needs to be made, whether it's physical or just over the phone. But they need to document that I talked to this person and this person was able to validate the person that we're reviewing for the clearance. Yeah. But dude, she literally had fucking those yellow legal pads and just writing everything down. Like, what do you think of this person? Write word for word. What, you know, when did you know this person? Word for word. Like, and they would even bring up things. Like, say if they interview me about you and they knew about your divorce, they will ask me and be like, do you know anything about Michael's divorce? And I will, you know, things that would throw me off. Like, I'm like, oh shit, like why, you know, and just to see, like you said, is he telling the truth that he wasn't beaten? Because Israel might say, yeah, Michael was an abusive husband. And then they'd be like, okay, now we got to deny his clearance. But sometimes they would throw things at me and I'm like, damn, I was like, not that I know of, you know, every time I've seen this person, everything was great. But they will bring stuff like that, divorces, how they are with the kids. You know, did you see them coming to work like mentally messed up and things like that? And I'm just like, man. But again, I give them credit too, man, because they're driving city to city, meeting people all the time, you know, flying to people. Because if you're considered the closest investigator to that area, then you're tagged. You're it. You're gonna have to go and do the interviews, or even help people out. Like if I'm in Florida, and you tell me, yeah, my contact is in Oklahoma, I gotta call Oklahoma branch and be like, hey, Mike, can you investigate this person for me? This is the case I'm working, and see, you know, if you could help me out. You know, it is really a fucking tedious.
You know
process.
What's really dumb? Really fucking dumb is, so I had a top secret clearance, right? I go work for the VA, and they're like, well, we gotta do our own clearance on you. And I was like, I have a top secret clearance. And they was like, we got to do our own. I was like, I just barely got this bitch 2 years ago. I have a top secret. Right. And he goes, that's not good enough for us. It's the VA. We need to do our own. I was like, you dumb motherfuckers. Like, you stupid bitches. Like, it was one of the ones that was like, you are not that fucking important, man. It's and the funny part is the clearance the VA gave me to work there was lower than a secret clearance. It wasn't even, it's like just a validation clearance. Crazy. Like, it just, hey, you are who you are type of thing. You went to school the way you, like, just a regular fucking credit report in a sense. But the VA felt like they had to do their own clearance. And I was like, I got a top secret. I was like, well, we need your fingerprints to make sure you are who you are. I was like, are you fucking high? I literally have a record of clearances, and I just have a top secret. I'm not trying to say I'm the shit. I'm just trying to help you out on that one. Like,
was it still current?
Yes.
When you went to the VA?
Yes, I literally went from a top, like I still had it. And even if I didn't, it was still a secret. Like, it was still good. And it was like the investigation. And I was like, hey, I have this. And they're like, the VA needs their own. Like, they literally tell me that. They're like, the VA needs to do their own kind of investigation. Wow. And the funny part is,
did you went through the process?
I fucking quit by the time they even gave it to me. Yeah, I had to. Like, that was like number one, you know, before I can get hired. But I got hired. I ended up quitting the VA, and then like 6 months later, like I just barely talked to them a couple months ago. They're like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, I was like, "I haven't worked for the VA for like a year." They're like, "Oh, yeah." that makes sense. We just tried to ask about you, and they didn't know who you were. I'm like, yeah, I fucking don't work there for a year now. Like, my point is, like, they wouldn't take my secret clearance, right? And then B, I was still working there, and they didn't even know that I had quit, and they were still investigating me to make sure that my name, who I was when my name came up. Like, damn, you fucking dummies, man. Again,
you have a bad record. I know your background is shady as fuck,
dude. That's what I love about my record. It's so clean. Because they're like, what'd you do? Like, I joined the military. I kept, like, I've only lived a couple places. And they'll be like, when I went to UNLV, right? They're like, did you talk to them? No, I didn't talk to nobody. Like, okay. It was like that really pretty. Did you talk to them? No, I just kept to myself. Like, okay. It was my clearances. I love them because they're so easy. It's like, did you do this? Like, I haven't done shit. I've kept only a couple addresses. So they're like, it's like, you don't really have to investigate shit because it's like, where's your family? Here, okay, that, and then.
But who did you put down as sort of your references to validate you?
Oh, it was all my friends that were in Japan.
Friends, family, or?
Oh, for sure, like I said, all military. It's gonna always be military because, again, they like when I first went through it, right? You know, I had to give people, but you know, you join the military. I'm not keeping track with half these motherfuckers that I like that are in the streets doing the dumb shit they're doing. Why? Because that's why I'm in the military. They're not. And then too, like, you know, like you start after you're in the military for a while, you don't keep track with your friends, whatever they're doing. There's nothing wrong with it. But, you know, like me, I was deploying, I was having exercises. We are in the thick of weeds of military life. You come home on vacation and try to tell people like, yeah, we just had an exercise and we're doing this and that. They're looking at you like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, So, what about you?
That's crazy. Yeah, no, for me, I would put friends, you know, my siblings, of course, close friends that were like in the military or out of the military. It was mostly veterans, you know what I'm saying? Because I knew that they will be able to tell them what they needed to answer the questions right and everything else. Like, I wasn't going to put my boys from the block.
Right.
Like, yo, can you trust them? Yeah, man, I used to trust them with fucking this. So, but yeah, mine's were, because remember, command post is always TS. You can never get lower than a TS because then we have to sort of remove you from the workplace. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was always TS all the time, and we always made sure, you know, I always kept hard copies of all my clearances because that fucking form that you had to fill out, like you said, it had to put addresses. I mean, they were asking me my supervisor. I'm in 2011, 2012, and you're asking me for my supervisor back in 1998.
What's their address? Like, what's their phone number?
Yeah, like, where they live at. But thank God for social media, man, because again, I'm like on Facebook, like, hey, man, you know, can I get your address? Because I'm renewing my clearance. And then luckily they will be able to provide me with that stuff. But for the most part, man, it was just like, thank God I kept this shit, because if not, that shit would have been a struggle to try to find all these people's locations and everything. And then trying to remember their names.
Dude, try to remember
you know what I'm saying? Like my first supervisor, I still talk to him today, but man, trying to remember my first supervisor's name, I was like, man, what was his name again?
Yeah.
You know, and again, thank God I kept the hard copies.
Well, even when they're like, what's your address? You're like, at your first duty station. You're like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what that address. I was in the dorms.
That's right.
What was your mailing address? Right. You're like, I don't fucking know the mailing address, man. Like, I don't even remember what room number I was in. I just know I don't even know the dorm. You know, like after a while. I'm like you, man. I have it on my file somewhere in my computer that I know where it's at. It takes me a little bit of time to find it because you only pull them out every so often. But when you do, you're like, okay, this is what I said last time. This is what we got going here. But like I said, for me, it's pretty easy. I've had a very simple life. And plus, when you live in Japan for so long, like you're just like, what are you doing over here? Like, I just live here. Like, okay. Like, what are you going to do? You going to go talk to people? I have friends in the States. I live in Japan, like, you know, and I wouldn't fly anywhere. So mine was really fast, actually, because I just didn't fly a lot. I just kind of stayed home. Right. So I didn't have really much friends to go into their saying like that. So I was like, you know what I mean?
Did they question you and say, hey, what other foreign nationals are you affiliated with? No, like, do you have any other foreign national friends?
No.
Because I had my Honduran friends that, you know, that we met over there and everything. I mentioned to them, I said, yeah, I do have friends from when I was stationed in Honduras that are locals. And the next question was, how often do you speak with them? And of course, it's very, you know, intermittent because it's all social media. And then, of course, I had to tell them of my Turkish friends that I met in Turkey and everything that are locals. And again, social media. But I had to reveal to them that, yeah, I do have friends, because the next thing you know, they're on your social media looking to see who's fucking lucky and who's won and everything else. And how do you know them?
Oh, that was easy.
They didn't ask you that?
No.
Did you live in Japan for so long and everything?
Like, you have family members. But the thing with that, though, is like, once you're in Japan and you're living there, they understand that's normal. Like, you know, what's now a foreign national, when you work with, you have friends, that's normal. I had to put down my family members, but I didn't really speak to them that much. So it wasn't like, how often do you see them? I see them every day or once a month or like that. And they're like, are they like, you know, are they foreign? Are they spies or something? Like, no, not these people. Like, these are just,
they spy.
You know what I mean? It's like, are they asking me? Like, no.
Yeah.
So